What's going on, everyone? I am just a typical, average American here today to react to this video by The Parallel Truth, which claims that the United States is currently on the pathway to total collapse. So, now as an American, I'll openly admit that we have a lot of problems here. And you know what? Honestly, the United States does seem to be declining in certain ways. That's true. But I didn't know about all this stuff. I mean, the title here says that America is at stage 5 of a 7-stage collapse, whatever that means. So, I don't know. It honestly sounds extremely grim. This is not what you want to hear, as an American. But today, I do want to take a look at this video and, learn about what could potentially lead to the downfall of the United States, I guess. So, geez, let's take a look.
There's a pattern in history that has destroyed 3 global superpowers in the last 500 years. And right now in 2025, the United States is following that exact same pattern stage by stage, decision by decision, almost like we're reading from the same script that led to catastrophe every single time before.
What? Is that true? What? Is this actually a thing? That's terrifying. Wait, what? This is actually something that's happened before in history? They're showing what was that, like Spain and the Soviet Union and Great Britain? Like as empires that existed before, that collapsed in some shape or form. So there's some kind of repeating series of mistakes, you could say, that these empires have made that the United States is currently doing. Is this actually, this would be really, really fascinating if at the same time it wasn't so troubling, especially for me as an American. But let's keep going here. Wow.
In 1590, Spain was the richest empire on Earth. They controlled half the world's gold and silver. Their military dominated Europe. Their currency was accepted everywhere. Within 80 years, they were bankrupt, a second-rate power that never recovered.
I got to admit, I don't know much of anything about Spanish history or the Spanish Empire. I actually didn't know that they were that incredibly powerful, this global power that collapsed. So that's such an important thing, though, to realize that there is so much that we can learn from history. And oftentimes, I suppose it's more trying not to repeat the mistakes that people have made in the past. So it's really I don't know, grim and disappointing that the United States is literally following the same history that these empires followed before they collapsed.
1914, Britain ruled the largest empire in human history. The sun never set on British territory. The pound sterling was the global reserve currency. Within 40 years, the empire was gone. The currency collapsed.
Now, this empire I've heard of. I didn't know that it all happened in 40 years. Did it all happen in such a short amount of time? What happened?
Became America's junior partner. In 1991, the Soviet Union was the other superpower. Nuclear weapons, global influence, satellites spanning the globe. It ceased to exist in 900 days. Not from war, but from economic implosion. 3 times. 3 superpowers. 3 complete collapses, all following the exact same sequence. And here's what should terrify you. The United States has already completed 5 of the 7 stages. We're not...
What? What is going on? This is troubling, to say the least. Oddly fascinating, and I still feel like I'm in a little bit of denial about this. I think most Americans would react kind of like what I'm thinking? Like, no, couldn't happen to us. No. Yeah, we got some problems, but stage 5 out of 7 of like the collapse of our nation. Yeah, right. Like, there's definitely a large part of denial in me.
Approaching the pattern, we're deep inside it. This is the story of how empires die, why they always think they're different, and why the math says that the United States is next. And it's happening faster than anyone wants to admit. Before we go through the pattern...
What on earth? Because this is certainly not something that's being discussed here in the United States. We talk about our issues and our problems, sure, but you better believe we're not talking about, like, the imminent collapse of our nation or anything. This is not something that Americans are thinking about.
Before we go through the pattern, you need to understand what imperial collapse actually looks like. Not in textbooks, but in practice. What it means when a superpower dies. Imperial collapse doesn't start with invasion or military defeat. It starts with economic exhaustion. The empire extends beyond its ability to maintain itself. Military bases in 150 countries, wars on multiple fronts, promises it cannot keep, debts it cannot repay. At first, the decline is invisible. The currency still works, the military still wins battles, the government still makes promises. But beneath the surface, the foundation is cracking, resources are misallocated, productive capacity shrinks, the best and brightest people leave, and then comes the acceleration. Allies start hedging, enemies test boundaries.
Oh my god. This is troubling. Maybe the most troubling thing about this is that it's actually starting to make sense, because this is certainly describing a lot of what's happening in the United States right now. I mean, personally, I think a lot of the decline, especially recently, of the United States has been largely self-inflicted, actually. When we elected Donald Trump, and now Trump and the government is causing a lot of global turmoil and a lot of stuff that's making... It's really isolating the United States, and it's really ruining our reputation, and it's all very much feels like we're doing it to ourselves. So is that a normal part of the collapse of, like, the playbook of the collapse of a nation? I don't know.
Enemies test boundaries, trade partners seek alternatives, the reserve currency status erodes, and suddenly the advantages that made you powerful become vulnerabilities. Your currency, once demanded by everyone, comes flooding back home. Your military spread across the world becomes unsustainable. Your promises, once guaranteed by strength, become empty words. That's not theoretical. That's what happened to Spain, Britain, and the Soviet Union.
That's it. He's literally describing the United States. Like, I thought we were just describing the United States right there. That's the stuff that all happened to Britain and the Soviet Union and Spain. All this same stuff happened to them before they collapsed. This is crazy. This freaking video. If this is at all accurate, and it seems to be, this should really be something that we're much more aware of here in the US. I feel like we're not.
And it happened because they made exactly the same decisions that America is making now. They believed their power was permanent. They overextended militarily. They debased their currency. And they refused to accept reality until collapse was already underway.
That's literally a part of it. What I'm doing, denial, like not acknowledging that it's happening, that's literally a part of it. Oh my God. This is crazy.
Let's look at how it actually happened 3 times the exact same way. Let's start with the first global empire, Spain, from the 1500s to the 1600s. After Columbus discovered the Americas in 1492, Spain became the first true world power. They conquered the Aztec and Inca empires, seized control of the richest gold and silver mines ever discovered. By 1550, Spanish ships were bringing home 200 tons of silver per year. By 1600, over 400 tons annually. Spain controlled the money supply of of Europe, the Spanish reals was the global reserve currency. Everyone wanted Spanish silver. And this is where the pattern begins with a country that controls the money of the world and believes that it makes them invincible. King Philip II, who ruled from 1556 to 1598, had more money than any monarch in history, and he spent it on empire. Stage 1 is military overextension.
Oh my God, there are stages. It's like this whole thing is like they're calculated. Like you can actually measure the collapse of an empire. Is the US really at stage 5 out of 7? I hope they're going to explain exactly why we're so far progressed into this decline, or what exactly it means, or I think they're going to explain it all, but I can't help but notice, like, it really resonates for me that all of these empires thought they could never, collapse. That they would always be around. They would always be on top. Because that is definitely the mindset that America has, for sure. So that's really concerning to me. Anyway, stage 1, military overextension. It's funny because I think this video was created like a few months ago, at least. So this wasn't even created when the United States started bombing Iran and the war, the military conflict going on, like, which you could obviously classify under military overextension. The United States literally did that, and they didn't even know about it when they made this video. That we're like, it actually happened. It's like they predicted it.
Spain fought wars everywhere, simultaneously against the Ottoman Empire in the Mediterranean, against France and Italy, against Protestant rebels in the Netherlands, against England's navy, wars in the Philippines and wars in the Americas. By 1580, Spain had military commitments on 4 continents. The cost was staggering. Half of Spain's revenue went to the military, and still, it wasn't enough. Stage 2 is currency debasement.
Okay, honestly, it sounds like Spain really overextended itself. Like, the US, we probably overextend ourselves, certainly with our military, and you can debate all that stuff, but I don't think the United States is mostly based in, North America, in the United States territory, whereas Spain seemed to be like all over the planet, for God's sake. So hopefully a little difference there. We overextend, but maybe not to this extent. I don't know if that's just cope or wishful thinking. Currency debasement, I think we're actively doing to ourselves right now.
Spanish crown couldn't pay its bills with taxes alone, so they did what every failing empire does. They debased the currency. They started mixing copper into silver coins. A coin that was supposed to be pure silver became 50% copper, then 75% copper.
Wow.
The face value stayed the same, but the real value plummeted. By 1600, Spanish silver coins contained barely any silver. Merchants stopped accepting them at face value. Inflation exploded. Stage 3 is
There's some differences there. Like, currency is different now. A lot of our currency is digital. It doesn't even exist physically. It's wired and transferred and exchanged online, and so there's different. Although we can print money out of nothing like never before. The United States is literally printing money all the time, like creating money out of nothing, and so maybe it's arguably worse now than back then when Spain did it.
Debt spiral. Spain borrowed constantly from Italian bankers, from German bankers, from anyone who would lend. By 1557, less than 20 years into Philip's reign, Spain declared bankruptcy. They defaulted on their debts, restructured, and kept borrowing. They declared bankruptcy again in 1560, again in 1575, again in 1596. 4 bankruptcies in 40 years. Each time they promised reforms. Each time they went right back to borrowing and spending. Stage 4.
Well, the United States hasn't declared bankruptcy, but we've had the privilege of the US dollar being like a global reserve currency, being able to print money, take out extremely like beneficial loans that are in our favor, lots of investments from other countries, and a lot of that stuff is certainly looks like it could be going away.
Or is loss of productive capacity. Here's what people don't understand about Spain's collapse. They had all the gold and silver in the world, and it destroyed them because when you have unlimited money, you stop producing. Why grow food when you can import it? Why build ships when you can buy them? Why innovate when you can just spend? Spanish nobility considered every work beneath them. As a result, manufacturing declined and agriculture stagnated. All the wealth flowed to importing goods from other countries. The gold and silver that came from the Americas went straight back out to pay for French wine, Italian silk, and Dutch goods.
Wow, this is also just like a fascinating history lesson, to be completely honest. I didn't know any of this stuff. And it is useful to compare this to the United States. I think there's some differences. Maybe there's some hope for us. I mean, we import a lot of stuff. We import a lot of stuff, but there's a fair bit of stuff that we create domestically within the United States, but I don't know. It's certainly become a global economy. I feel like every country these days imports a ton of stuff from all over the world. That's kind of normal now.
Spain became a conduit. Wealth flowed through them, but none of it stayed. By 1600, Spain was producing almost nothing. They were entirely dependent on imports, entirely dependent on silver to pay for everything. And when the silver mines began to deplete, when production dropped, the entire system collapsed. Stage 5 is social decay. With a failing economy, crime exploded. Beggars filled the streets of Madrid. Productive citizens immigrated. The best minds left for France, England, and the Netherlands. The countries that were building, creating, and growing. Spain was left with bureaucrats, soldiers, and priests. No one was creating wealth. Everyone was consuming it. By 1640, Spain lost Portugal. By 1650, they lost the Netherlands, their richest territory. And by 1700, the Spanish Empire was a shell, still large on paper, but economically dead. They went from the world's superpower to a secondary power in less than a century, and they never recovered. Spain...
Yeah, that sticks out so much to me. No matter how powerful you are, like even the Roman Empire collapsed. Like that's a big one that they're not talking about, but no matter how powerful or secure you feel, you have to realize there are literally these examples from history of these empires collapsing in one generation or something.
Spain today is a regional European country, pleasant, cultured, but irrelevant on the world stage. The descendants of the conquistadors are a tourist destination. That's what imperial collapse looks like. Let's jump forward 300 years. It's Britain in the 1900s, the empire where the sun never set. At its peak, Britain controlled 25% of the world's land surface.
Oh my God, yeah. Great Britain I know a little bit more about, and they do teach us a little bit about this in school. But I know this was one of the biggest empires of all time. 25% of the world. That's insane.
400 million subjects. The pound sterling was the global reserve currency. Every major trade contract was denominated in pounds. Every central bank held British bonds. London was the financial centre of the world. And just like Spain 300 years earlier, they believed it was permanent, but they were already following the pattern. Stage 1, the military overextension. By 1900, Britain had military commitments everywhere. India, Africa, the Middle East, China, the Pacific, the Caribbean.
I mean, the United States has military commitments all over the world. Many that I'm probably not even aware of. Like, the conflict in Iran, showed how many U.S. military bases located in countries around Iran in the Middle East were being attacked by retaliatory strikes from Iran. And it just reminded me, like, the United States has such a big military presence and perhaps overextension all throughout the world that most Americans actually don't even think about.
They had to defend territory on 6 continents. The cost was enormous. And when World War I started in 1914...
Now, I don't think it's quite like Great Britain, where you guys literally, like, had dominion, like, as this empire over all these countries, and you're literally responsible for, like, protecting them and governing them, and that's a little bit like different. It's a little bit more extreme.
Britain faced a choice: stay neutral and let Europe destroy itself, or jump in and bankrupt the empire to win. They chose to fight. World War I cost Britain over $40 billion. That's $1 trillion in today's money. They borrowed from everyone, mostly from the United States. By 1918, Britain owed America billions. The creditor had become the debtor, but they'd won the war.
Wow.
They kept the empire. They thought they could rebuild, but they were wrong. Stage 2, currency debasement. The pound sterling was supposed to be backed by gold, but the war had drained Britain's gold reserves. They'd shipped gold to America to pay for weapons, food, supplies.
I didn't know World War I did so much damage to Great Britain's empire.
1920, Britain's gold reserves were half what they had been in 1914, but they tried to maintain the pound's value anyway. They went back on the gold standard at the pre-war rate in 1925. The problem was that the pound was overvalued. British exports became too expensive. Manufacturing declined, unemployment rose, and the government had to keep interest rates high to defend the currency. This destroyed the domestic economy. By 1931, they couldn't hold it anymore. Britain abandoned the gold standard. The pound lost 25% of its value overnight. Stage 3, the debt spiral. Britain never recovered from World War I debt, and then World War II started. Another $120 billion in costs.
So honestly, it just seems like for a lot of world powers or empires or that think they're invincible, there just has to be one major catalyst, really. For the British Empire, it was like World War I, but it could be anything.
More borrowing from America. By 1945, Britain owed the United States and Canada over $30 billion more than Britain's entire GDP.
What if our catalyst is Donald Trump?
War was won, but the empire was finished. They couldn't defend it anymore, couldn't afford it, couldn't maintain it. Stage 4, the loss of empire. In 1947, Britain gave up India, the crown jewel, and the source of wealth for 200 years gone. Over the next 20 years, they lost everything: Africa, Middle East, Southeast Asia, and the Caribbean. By 1970, the British Empire existed only in history books. Stage 5, the currency collapse. The pound kept falling. In 1940, £1 equaled $403. By 1950, $280. By 1970, $240. By 1980, £2 equaled 30, and today it's fallen to £27.
This is so like there's some of this history that I'm a little familiar, but for the most part, I didn't know any of this stuff, and it's so relevant to the US.
The global reserve currency became a regional currency. Britain tried to maintain permanent seat on the UN Security Council, nuclear weapons, special relationship with America. But everyone knew the truth. They were a former power, a museum of what used to be great. The empire was gone and it never came back. Now let's look at the most recent example, the Soviet Union, which ruled from 1945 to 1991. After World War II, the USSR emerged as a superpower. They had nuclear weapons, massive military control over Eastern Europe, satellites in space, and they believed they were the future, and communism would bury capitalism and the Soviet model would dominate. For 45 years, they competed with America, matched USA militarily, built more tanks, more missiles, more troops, but beneath the surface, the economy was dying. Stage 1, the military overextension. The Soviet Union spent 15 to 20% of GDP on the military. That's triple of what America spent. They had to match American technology.
Oh my God. And I thought we were known for like spending an ungodly proportion of our wealth on military. Wow.
American reach, American alliances. They were in Afghanistan, propping up Cuba, supporting Syria, Vietnam, North Korea, Angola, Ethiopia. Everywhere America had influence, they had to counter. The cost was unsustainable. Stage 2, the economic stagnation. The Soviet economy stopped growing in the 1970s. Oil revenue kept them afloat, but nothing else worked.
It's just amazing as we go through these the different empires in history. It's pretty amazing how you can make a really big argument that they all generally follow this same 5 or 7 stage collapse pattern, like they all do.
Factories produced junk, farms failed, technology fell decades behind. By the 1980s, the Soviet Union was importing grain. A country with some of the best farmland on earth couldn't feed itself. Why? Because central planning doesn't work, because innovation dies under control, because no one produces when there's no incentive. Stage 3, currency collapsed. The ruble was never a real currency. It couldn't be exchanged internationally. Even Soviet citizens didn't trust it. They used dollars when they could get them. The government had to buy foreign goods with gold and oil because nobody wanted rubles. By 1985, oil prices dropped. Soviet gold reserves were depleting. They were running out of real money. Stage 4, the loss of empire. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. Eastern Europe left. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, East Germany, all gone in a year. The satellites that gave the Soviet Union strategic depth vanished. The Soviet government couldn't stop it, and
I can't help when I listen to all this, like, start imagining. Like, my imagination just goes on, and it's like, what is this gonna look like here in the United States if this happens to us? Like, what is... Yeah, it's just crazy to think about even.
they were broke. Stage 5, the complete collapse. On December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union ceased to exist. 900 days from Berlin Wall to complete dissolution. No
Wait, what? I thought this was arguing that we are in stage 5. Stage 5 is total collapse. That's what? We're in stage 5? Already?
The Soviet Union ceased to exist. 900 days from Berlin Wall to complete dissolution. No war, no invasion, just economic implosion. The military couldn't be paid. The government couldn't function. The ruble became worthless. A superpower with 30,000 nuclear weapons collapsed from internal economic failure. The pattern played out again. Overextension, currency failure, debt, loss of empire, and finally collapse. And here's what should keep you awake at night. The United States is following the exact same pattern stage by stage. Let me show you how. Stage 1, the military overextension. The United States has over 750 military bases in 80 countries. It has troops in 150 countries.
God, is it that much? I know it's a lot, but I didn't know the exact numbers.
It is committed to defending Europe through NATO, defending Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, fighting in the Middle East, countering China, countering Russia. Its military budget is $850 billion annually, more than the next 10 countries combined. But the equipment is aging, recruitment is down, and USA has commitments it cannot fulfill. If China invades Taiwan, if Russia pushes into NATO territory, if Iran closes the Persian Gulf, it cannot respond to all of it simultaneously. USA is overextended, just like Spain, just like Britain, just like the USSR.
Yeah, not fun to hear for if you're an American, and because it obviously there's a lot of truth to it. That's the worst part, is you can't really argue against it much.
Stage 2, the currency debasement. In 1971, Nixon closed the gold window. The dollar became pure fiat currency. Since 2000, the money supply has increased 400%. Since 2020, USA has printed over $6 trillion.
Not enough Americans are aware of how much money printing the US has done. It's actually insane. But I am aware of this.
The dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power since 1971. USA is not mixing copper into silver coins. It is just printing unlimited paper. The mechanism is different.
Yeah. It's like the modern way to devalue your currency.
But the result is the same. Stage 3, the debt spiral. The United States owes $36 trillion, and that's 120% of the GDP.
I don't know if people around the world know that the US is in like about $40 trillion of debt. This is something that actually does make headlines in the United States every now and then, but it's like a lot of us are aware of it, but we just ignore it. Kind of reinforcing this idea that we just blindly assume, it'll be okay. What? We're in $40 trillion of debt to countries all over the world, but it'll be fine. You know, we're the United States. What could happen? What? That's really like the attitude that a lot of us have, and it's not good.
Interest payments alone are approaching $1 trillion per year. It is spending more on interest than on defence. The economy runs deficits every year. $1.8 trillion in 2024 in a growing economy. During peacetime, it borrows to pay interest on previous borrowing. That's the definition of a debt spiral. Spain defaulted 4 times. Britain borrowed until it collapsed. The USSR ran out of money. America is on the same path. Stage 4, the loss of productive...
Oh my God, I gotta turn this off. I won't, but this is tough. This is tough to hear, man. Stage 4.
Capacity.
Loss of productive capacity.
America doesn't make things anymore. It designs, finance, and consumes, but don't produce. Its manufacturing base has been gutted, shipped to China, Mexico, and Vietnam.
The one I'm familiar with is China. We get so much of our stuff from China. Now, I was going to say, the United States, like, we create a lot of the world's best tech companies, but I guess that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about, like, literally, do you produce things that help you survive? Like, building materials and food and resources and stuff like that. And I guess over time, we've kind of stopped doing that.
USA imports $800 billion more than it exports annually. It is dependent on foreign supply chains for everything: medicine, electronics, steel, even military components. Just like Spain became dependent on imports while the silver flowed out, USA is dependent on imports while dollars flow out. Stage 5, social decay. Trust in institutions.
Oh, stage 5 is social decay. Why did he say total collapse in a different one when we were talking about the USSR? Whatever. Stage 5 is only social decay, not full collapse. Okay, got it.
Is at all-time lows. Crime is rising. Homelessness is exploding. Drug overdoses kills 100,000 Americans annually. The best and brightest are leaving or checking out. Fertility rates are collapsing. Political dysfunction is total.
That's
we
true.
Americans can't agree on anything, can't fix anything, can't build anything.
That's very true. Our society, our social society has collapsed in many ways. As an American, I can say that a lot of this is true.
The signs of decay are everywhere, but everyone pretends it's fine. It's not fine. We're on stage 5 of 7. The Soviet Union made it to stage 5 before complete collapse. So did Britain.
Oh, so you can make it to different stages. And at any point in the 7 stages, you are vulnerable to collapse. You don't have to go to stage 7. And we're already at 5.
Spain lasted longer, but the pattern is the same. We're not at the end yet, but we're deep into the sequence. Stage 6 is loss of reserve currency status. That's when allies start diversifying. When trade moves to other currencies. When the dollar comes flooding back home because no one needs to hold it anymore.
Oh my God. That could literally be what is next. If the United States under Donald Trump and our government continues on the path that we've been doing, there's still 3 more years of the Trump administration. If we continue doing what we have been doing the last year, I wouldn't be shocked if people around the world, countries around the world, don't want to use our currency, which would literally align with this collapse pattern. That's pretty insane how it's all lining up perfectly.
We're seeing early signs. BRICS nations are developing alternatives. Central banks are buying gold. China and Russia are trading in yuan and rubles. Saudi Arabia is accepting yuan for oil. The cracks are forming. Stage 7 is total collapse, not gradual decline, sudden implosion. The Soviet Union went from superpower to non-existent in 900 days. Britain lost the empire in 20 years. Spain took longer, but the result was the same. When the reserve currency fails, when the debt becomes impossible, when the military can't be funded, it doesn't decline gracefully. It collapses quickly, brutally. And everyone who...
It's funny because so many Americans, so many of us are convinced this would never happen. And so many of us are so unaware of how close this is to happening.
thought it couldn't happen here learns the same lesson every empire learns. It can, and it does. 3 empires followed this pattern: Spain, Britain, the USSR. Each believed they were exceptional. Each believed they were different. Each believed the rules didn't apply to them, or they were wrong every single time. The pattern doesn't care about exceptionalism. The pattern is mathematical. You cannot spend beyond your means forever. You cannot maintain empire without productive capacity. You cannot debase your currency without consequences. You cannot avoid stage 6 and 7 once you've completed 1 through 5. The sequence is locked in. The only question is timing. Maybe America has 10 years, maybe 5, or maybe less. But the pattern says that the collapse is coming. And when it comes, it won't be slow. It'll be sudden. Do subscribe the channel.
What? What? What kind of ending is that, man? What kind of ending? What? What am I supposed to take away? What? What, am I supposed to get my things together and build a shelter? I don't even know what's going to happen. Obviously, we just heard him say, oh, once you get to stage 5, that's it. That's the end. There's no going back. You will collapse. I don't know. Obviously, as an American, I hope that is not true, or that it doesn't happen for a very long time, but there's certain things in this video that are just irrefutable, and maybe that's the most depressing thing about it. I think more Americans should check out this video. Again, this is by The Parallel Truth. Great video. It's just hard to enjoy when it's literally talking about you and where you live and the downfall of your country. But as I like to say, I don't like to live my life in denial, so it's good to know about this, but I think a big part of me is still in denial. Like, this couldn't happen. But they said like 10 times in this video, denial, thinking that this could never happen to you. That's like literally a hallmark symptom. That's normally what happens. I'll definitely be thinking about this for a while. This is crazy. This is hit a little too close to home, and it's extremely concerning, and I don't know. I'll be keeping my eye out for these things moving into the future, I suppose. And is there really no stopping it? So many things to think about, but I did take away a lot from this video. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like, or leave a comment with your thoughts on all this. The collapse, the imminent collapse of the US, perhaps. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And enjoy more videos until my country collapses, I guess. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.